Oh hey, welcome back to Frugal Friendly Foods. As the French say, let's dive in. Today's recipe was inspired by some starving days in Ketchikan, Alaska. Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Sam.
And I'm Kylene, and today I'm excited because Sam is with us and he's going to teach us how to make his famous chicken and rice casserole, and it's really good. But before we go into that, I want to talk a little bit about how we can save a little bit of money with the ingredients that we use. So when Sam makes this, he can make it out of completely shelf-stable ingredients if he wants to, right? Substituting different things. But if you notice, there's a big difference between the price of the name brand and the store brand if you're buying this soup. So the store brand cream of mushroom soup is 68 cents, but the name brand is $1.26. So right there, that's a huge difference in cost. Now our chicken is $3.99 for this can. You could totally do fresh, but actually when I went to buy fresh yesterday, it was like $4.50 a pound, and
it's absurd.
This is significantly less expensive right now. But one of the things that I like to do is I buy rotisserie chickens at Sam's Club or Costco because they're only $4.99. So for $5, I can pull all that meat off of there and I put it in these little Ziploc bags like this and stick them in the freezer. Then when I want to make a meal like this, I can just pull one of these out. And one of the ways that you can save money is to not have quite so much meat in the dish, because meat is, quite frankly, one of the most expensive pieces of this. And the rice, we buy the rice in bulk and we store it in our pantry with these Gamma Seal lids. And so that's just how we store our rice. But buying it in the huge 25 or 50 pound bags saves a lot of money. But today we're actually going to show you how you can make your own cream of chicken or cream of mushroom soup or cream of celery, whatever, for significantly less money and without all the additives that are in these. So let's get busy with that real quick.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we got the recipe for this cream of chicken soup on a book called Feasting on Food Storage. It's by Jane Merrill and Karen Sunderland. It's really good stuff. There's lots of good recipes in here.
And the thing I like about it is there's a lot of shelf-stable recipes. Basic stuff like this. This recipe makes it so you can just take these basics and you can make the cream soups, and it just changes everything. So
yeah, definitely. We're gonna put that right there. So the first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna take 2 cups of non-fat dry milk. Something that I think a lot of people will appreciate about this recipe is that it's completely gluten-free.
Yeah. So for those of us that have issues with the cream soups because of the flour and the gluten that's in them, this one's done completely without.
Not
so that's
a problem.
awesome.
All right, then we're gonna take cornstarch. We mentioned with the rice, the Gamma Seal buckets. We also do the same thing. We do that pretty much with everything that we buy in bulk. So a cup of cornstarch. Then we're gonna take a 1/4 cup of chicken bouillon. Is it bouillon or bouillon? I don't know.
I call it.
That should be the question of the day.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have 2 tablespoons of dry onions.
And these basics that we have right here were actually just in our food storage, and we purchased these from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, from some of their home storage centers, which is oh, that onion smells good.
Yeah, it does.
Which is a great way to purchase the very, very basics. They only sell the really basic stuff, but it's the least expensive and great way to build your basic food storage.
Yeah, definitely. And then finally, we need a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, which we did not get out. So instead, we're gonna go with the alternative. We're just gonna eyeball it a little bit.
I think eyeballing's okay.
Yeah. Okay, and we're gonna take our whisk and we're just gonna give it a little mix. Careful not to to spill everywhere. I know with powders and a whisk, it's kind of a dangerous game to play. But this is gonna be our master mix. And we mix this with a little bit of oil and a little bit of water. And we'll have cream of chicken soup. So yeah, pretty simple. All right, so a quick adaptation to this recipe is we're also gonna throw in our chicken and some sliced mushrooms. First thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna put a few tablespoons of olive oil in the pan. We've got our heat on about medium high. So usually when I'm doing this recipe, I use a can of cream of mushroom soup and a can of cream of chicken soup. And so this is kind of what we're doing to get both of those. So tossing in the mushrooms. In just a couple of minutes, we're gonna throw in the chicken as well.
And freeze-dried mushrooms are incredible. Like, so when we're looking at it for food storage, you could totally rehydrate freeze-dried mushrooms and use them in this recipe.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna let those saute for just a minute or two. And we're following the recipe. We're following it for 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. A third of a cup makes about 1 can. Okay, those are getting sauteed a little bit, getting nice and soft. We're gonna take our chicken. Gonna pop a little bit because of that olive oil.
And that chicken, it turns out to be about $1 a bag when I do the rotisserie chicken. It's actually more like 75 cents probably.
All right, so we have 2.5 cups of water going in. We have 2 1/3 cup servings of our mix. Oh. I don't think there's a video that I can be in where powders don't go flying. And so we're gonna mix that all up. And essentially what we're doing, we're essentially making gravy here. We're just gonna go until it starts to thicken. Generally that'll be when it starts to boil a little bit. And it'll start to thicken up. All right. One kind of thing that we're gonna do in the middle here is we're going to take our broccoli, because you gotta have your vegetables obviously. Good fibers, good nutrients. And we're gonna pop that right in the microwave. This one calls for 5 minutes per bag. And so we're gonna have that cooking while we're getting everything else ready.
And you could totally use freeze-dried broccoli. What other vegetables would you substitute for it?
You could probably do things like peas and carrots. I don't think there's necessarily any limit on what you can or can't use. It's starting to thicken up just a little bit. Probably want it just a little bit thicker, and then we'll call it good. All right, one last thing to mention with this. This is shelf stable, so you can just set it on your pantry shelf or whatever, and you'll be good to go. So now we're gonna put this whole concoction together. First thing we're gonna start out with is our rice. And we made ours in a rice cooker. Fantastic investment, a rice cooker is. We made 2 cups of rice. Yeah, I mean, it's rice. Put a little bit of salt in there. Break up the chunks a little bit. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put in our steamed broccoli. Once again, even when you're trying to eat on a budget, it's super important to get the proper nutrition, because without the proper nutrition, your body can't function. So I know that especially, you know, people my age, and I find myself doing this sometimes, I'll kind of push the nutrient dense foods to the back burner. But not only can you get them for relatively cheap, I think you can find these bags at Walmart for like under $1. But it's also extremely critical that you do so. Okay, we're gonna add in our cream of chicken soup, or cream of combination soup. We're gonna throw this in there. And then we're just gonna give it a good old mix. And we want everything to kind of be combined. We want the casserole to have a very homogeneous feeling. And at this time, I want to give a special shout out to Rachel Averett, who donated to my Poor Starving College Student Fund after the last video. Listen, I appreciate that more than you know. And if you want to Venmo me to get more of these videos, my Venmo will be on the screen. I'm sure Jennifer will put it up. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna pour all this chicken and ricey goodness right into the pan, into a 9x13. And then what we're gonna do is we're just kind of gonna spread it out even. One side note, we do have the oven preheating right now to 400 degrees, because after we've got all of this spread out, the last thing we're gonna do, and this is completely optional, you don't need to do this, but I like it. We're gonna put just a touch of cheese on the top. And one thing to note is that if you use something like a sharp cheddar, you don't need as much cheese because there's more flavor, more punch that's coming out. Personally, I just like the mixed cheese. We're still not going to use a ton of it, but it does give it kind of a little extra kick in the face, if you will. But one more. So what we're going to do, we're going to throw this in the oven at 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. And yeah, our chicken and rice casserole will be done. All right, so it's out of the oven. Final thing that we're gonna do, we're just gonna give it a touch of black pepper on top. Adds a lot of flavor, and you don't really have to think about it. You just kind of put some on top. So while we're dishing this up, I mentioned in the intro that, is that too much, too little?
That works.
Okay. I mentioned in the intro that this was kind of born out of my hungry days when I was living in Alaska. And the day before that we were planning on going shopping, I kind of, we were running out of groceries for the week, and, looking in the cupboards, the fridge, and I see there's rice, I have some frozen chicken, I have some cream soup, and I had a thing of broccoli, and of course I had like a few other things. I wasn't like that starving, but I didn't have the ideal things that I wanted to make. So I kind of saw those 4 different things, and I was like, I could put these things together. And so thus this recipe was born. I'm also gonna finish mine off with a little bit of Tabasco sauce.
Cholula for me.
Yeah. Hot sauce in general gives a lot of flavor, and it lasts for a really long time. Not very expensive, which is really nice. But we're gonna give this a little taste. So one thing that I'm noticing right off the bat is that the creaminess in here tastes a lot fresher than when you use the canned cream of chicken soup, cream of mushroom soup. And I think that just comes down to the fact that, we made it ourselves. There were It was fresh chicken that went into it, fresh mushrooms. And so I think that did make quite a bit of difference. And it also, you know, we have plenty of mix to use in the future as well, which is really nice. That's something that I noticed. What are your thoughts?
I just think it's really good. I mean, it's very tasty and very filling. So good stuff.
Yeah. All right. And for the question of the day today, have you had a food that you kind of fall back on when you were in your hungry times? And if you did, what was it? Comment down below. We appreciate your views, and thanks for being part of the solution. And hit up the Venmo.